When you make the conscious decision to pick up a paintball gun and head out into the world of tournament paintball in search of adventure, what you're really seeking is a story. The fun and the challenge, the trials and the accolades, those all fade. Even if you're successful, the trophies will sit there and collect dust. The prize money will get spent. But what remains are the moments, the memories, a powerful story. Sunday has a special place in paintball. What happens on Sunday defines our sport. It's where our history gets written and where heroes are made. It's where all the hard work, the welts, and the time spent come together to create victory or defeat. What happens on Sunday is why people will remember your name. That's the story you're about to watch. Not just the story of one team or one player, but the story of a year. 1 year in the Pro Division in the National X-Ball League, the NXL. 5 tournaments, 20 teams fighting over 3 days until one remains, raising a trophy on Sunday. This is the story of 5 Sundays. In the professional league, regardless of what your peers say to your face or in front of the camera, they don't care about you or respect you once the goggles drop and the guns start firing. You earn your respect and then struggle to maintain it. Game after game, point after point, gunfight after gunfight, out between the nets. In the middle of the fight, none of your peers care about your previous wins or your hype. And if you're new to the highest level, you're untested talent. This is not a safe space. You have to force your opponents to respect you at the end of the barrel, with your gun, your mind, and your willingness to engage. It's a constant reckoning. No one knew exactly how it would end at the time, but the 4th NXL event of 2018, held in Chicago, would be its own reckoning, with serious title implications and a potential changing of the guard. By a twist of fate, Edmonton Impact and San Antonio X-Factor matched up against each other in the wildcard round. A loss here would mean a giant blow to their chances in the race for the overall series title. In the prelims, X-Factor went 2-2, barely making it in. And Impact took a loss in their first game to the Ironmen, but then railed off 3 victories to go 3-1. These teams have a long history of playing each other on Sunday. Since X-Factor's 2013 World Cup victory over Impact, things have not gone well for X-Factor in their matches against each other on paintball's most important day. 9 times they've played each other, 3 times in the finals, and 6 times in the semis, and every single time, Impact has walked away with the victory. Impact's ability to beat X-Factor when it mattered was a big component of their run to become the best team in paintball, but could they do it again, for the 10th time in a row, in Chicago?
Welcome 2018 NXL Chicago Open. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Rich Telford. I hope you are ready for a crazy Sunday competition. We're going to find out who is going to win this tournament. It has been absolute madness here on center court throughout Friday and Saturday's prelim competition at Edmonton Impact. Edmonton Impact, #1 overall, but yes, you heard it right, they are going to be playing in the wild card match. So how did Edmonton Impact get here? How is Impact, the #1 team, going 3-1? How are they playing in the wild card match? And they're playing against X-Factor opponents here in this wild card match. So San Antonio X-Factor, former world champions, but it has been at least 3 years, I believe, since they have won a tournament here in the NXL, but this is a team that we keep talking about. They're due. X-Factor is absolutely due for a win. So if they can find a way to take down Edmonton Impact,
The game started out well for Impact. Both teams had identical breakouts, but X-Factor lost a body on the break. But then Impact lost a body right after that, and it was 4-on-4. Bernacci and Goldman went into the snake. Goldman was shot from the inside. Bernacci and Roberts then launched on the attack, but it was stuffed by Rabikoff and Vanderbilt. Impact went up by 1. But it was at this moment when all the good luck that Impact had over the years against X-Factor ran out. For the rest of the match, 7 unanswered points. Nothing was working for them. Lost gunfights and lost bodies on the break. Early concessions. Miscued moves. Impact didn't make it easy on themselves. But it wasn't just Impact's lack of execution. X-Factor had every element of their game working, capped off with one of the best moves of the tournament by Billy Bernaccia as he one-handed Laval in point 7. X-Factor demolished Impact 7-1 and moved on into the quarterfinals.
Hey, one step in the road, man. One step in the process. Come on. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, we lost X Factor. They finally got us. Yeah, they were just doing everything right. We were doing everything wrong, so we couldn't. We knew where they were doing and what they were doing. We just couldn't stop it. So, good, congrats to them.
We never made one. Our Dorito side was non-existent.
Houston Heat looked outstanding in the prelims, going undefeated, putting up wins on Elevation, Aftershock, Extreme, and X Factor. They had Konstantin Fedorov back, and Ryan Moorhead and Chad George were on fire in the prelims. Their opponent in the quarterfinals, AC Dallas, was unstoppable in their first 3 games, mercy ruling DMG and the ML Kings, and almost doing the same to the Outlaws. But they dropped their last game to Revo to go 3-1. It was a frustrating quarterfinal match for AC Dallas. They couldn't get their offense rolling, and survivability was a big problem against Heat. They were able to shoot Chad George off the break and get Axel Godin into the snake in the first point, but a penalty on Waring did damage, and Axel was shot out by Sam Monville. It came down to a 2-on-2, but Heat shot out TJ Danner, the first point, and the momentum went to Heat. Axel again went into the snake, but AC Dallas lost Brandon Rabikoff and John Jackson, and then a bit later his brother Matt. The lost gunfights cost AC Dallas the point. Heat put up their 3rd point in a row in similar fashion, and the rest of the game played out the same. Heat edging out AC Dallas in their bunkers and making less mistakes. As AC lost point after point, they pushed forward, and though they didn't hang their heads in defeat, they took a solid 6-0 mercy rule loss as Heat knocked them out and advanced into the semifinals.
This tournament. Now, not taking anything away from Thunder, they're playing really good paintball. Do I think they're playing at the Ironmen level right now? I don't think so, Matt.
But they can change that story right here. I mean,
Yes.
that's the magic of Sunday. It's a brand new day. You have the opportunity to get out there and earn more respect for your team. Thunder's earned a lot of respect this weekend.
Here you go. Thunder now taking on the Ironmen. Thunder on your screen.
Thunder came out trying to take ground, but they lost Jared Lackey, their first attacker in the snake. Matt Chim then lost a gunfight, and Kyle Spica pushed forward to put Thunder on their heels. Greg Sewers made his way into the 50 on the D side, and Damian Ryan ran through the center. The Ironmen put up a perfect, textbook first point. Again in the next point, the Ironmen were able to shoot out Lackey off the break, but then Thunder evened up the count when Ryan died in the center. Bobby Avilas barely made it out wide, but the Ironmen lost Sewers and went down a body. Spica tried to get the advantage back in the snake, getting past the 50. Thunder then lost Harrison Fry to even up the count. Matt Chim made a big move to take out Spica and traded out with Bobby Avilas. Corey Field stayed alive as the chaos set in to tie the game. Spica continued his attack in the snake, and Thunder came out with a more conservative game plan. They played 5-on-5 and burnt time off the clock until Ryan died from his bunker, but they shot out Fry to even the count. Reeser and Spica were both in the snake, as they had been all event, putting pressure on Thunder's line. Even though they were down a body, Spica was able to blow open the point to take the lead.
He is right beside Kyle Spica. Kyle Spica's going to cut to the center and get to the tower. Kyle Spica, Ironman playing smart though. They know Greg's in a good spot, and here comes Spica. And now look at this though. Kyle Spica, he gets a kill. Golding dodges a stream. Chim comes across, tries to put a ball. Greg Sewers gets shot though from Lackey, and here comes Greg. As Greg gets shot, here comes Kyle Spica coming through, getting that last player.
Yeah, what a slow, methodical play by the Ironmen. Greg Sewers making that move at the far side of the field. But like you said, Thunder not capitalizing on that move down the Dorito side of the field. Unfortunately, Matty, not getting the snake, not making the moves. I think that might have helped. That hurt the game.
Thunder was only down 1 and they had a chance to tie, and they were finally able to put a ball on Spica with under 5 minutes to play. But the Ironmen ground down the clock, and Golding won a key gunfight against Matt Chim to seal up the win and move one step closer to the long-awaited finals appearance.
Their guys shot really well on the breaks. We tried to avoid losing bodies early because Corey Field and Adam Gomez were putting on a clinic on that Dorito side all weekend. So we just tried to continue to play our game. Over here on the snake side, we had some good attacks from Kyle, Bobby, Allen. Trevor Reeser played really well in the middle. But we just tried to continue to attack on all sides, but minimize our losses and not put our guys at risk over here on the Dorito side into their heavy guns. And it was a long, hard-fought game. Those guys were hard to dig out. They played well all weekend, and we got a 1-point win, and we're going on to the semis.
Set. First off, I want to start talking about the Russians and X Factor. So with X Factor, taking down Impact. They're going to be taking on the Russians. First up, we're going to be talking about the Russians. So Moscow Red Legion, the Russian Legion, they won Atlantic City last year. They have been rebuilding this team, picking up these young and hungry players. I mean, a lot of teams are doing this, but the Russians picking up some huge talent. Smotrov on this snake side of the field has been a huge weapon. On that D set, Karslev. Karslev has just been on the aggressive attack, getting to that 50-yard line. Same with Smotrov. I really like, though, that Smotrov has started to develop a little bit more of that survivability. He stayed alive a little bit more. Malloy, though, Alexander Burtnikov behind him has played outstanding. Kirill Peredny, he's had a real good weekend. You can see there on your screen. Also, Kozyrev has got some spins, too. So the Russians definitely a potential favorite here if the youth can handle business and stay alive and still get into those key spots, and if those experienced veterans can polish it off after the youth explodes through the line of X Factor. However, X Factor, my God, they emerged as the favorite with the complete demolishment of Edmonton Impact in that wild card match. To find two favorites in the wild card match, we have not seen that so far this year. San Diego Dynasty and the Expendables proved that it could be done in Prague as they came out of the wild card match and they won the tournament there, winning 4 games. We'll see if X Factor can do the same thing. They become the favorite, though, by just beating down Edmonton Impact 7-1. Look at this move by Billy Bernaccia, the double knee slide one-hander right there. Unconventional. He still made it look pretty, though, with the John Wick move right here. Comes through, gets that shot on Laval after Laval had just made a good move. Billy had to trade his body to do it. However, X Factor just looked, they looked about as good as a team can look against the hardest team to beat in the world, and not just to beat, but to beat them in a way that looked like they shouldn't have been even on the field with San Antonio X Factor. That's a huge loss from Edmonton Impact.
Both teams came out aggressive early, pushing bodies upfield. The Russians had most of their firepower on the D side. Bodies dropped for both squads, and though Bernaccia made a great left-handed snapshot on the young Smotrov, X Factor lost too many gunfights, and they went down by 1.
Randy can see this point here shortly. Billy Bernaccia still hanging tough in here, and they save him the pain and can see the point as Karslev was about to get in there and hit that buzzer. So that's a solid first point for the Russians. And Chris, it definitely looked like it came down to just a few lost gunfights here.
The Russians took the initiative in the second point, getting Smotrov up the snake side on a delay. Bernaccia mirrored the move. Roberts came off, giving a slight advantage to the Russians, which they then threw away with a minor penalty on Kirill, which pulled out Karslev. And Smotrov then launched but was taken out by Ninos. Golev and Burtnikov prevailed and the Russians went up by 2. X Factor was able to win gunfights in the next 2 points, as Jesse Stevens and Colt Roberts clocked in to help tie the game at 2.
Yeah, we just shot a snake guy too, so they're not going to go wide.
Burtnikov then ran down Stevens early in the next point, and both teams lost another body to make it 3-on-3. Golev made a clutch shot on Bernaccia, and it looked like he had the angle on Roberts, but Roberts played tight, as did Archie Montemayor, and they turned the tables, saved the point, and then took a slight lead.
Minutes on a game.
Minute 11, minute on the clock.
And then they can probably get into the China or Cobra unseen. All right, so y'all just need to protect yourself.
Let's hide from it. That's all good. We can hide from it.
All right.
You want me to go Dorito 1, look inside until you call baby?
I think they're gonna go Dorito 2.
I think the
1 minute.
push will come from their side. Your side.
I'm okay with the safe play though, because I'll try to shoot that guy.
We've gone Dorito 1 every play.
Yeah. So what? Let's go call. All right, let's do that. I like the call.
Hey, assume the worst. Disco.
With just under 2 minutes to play, Bernaccia slid into the snake and quickly found his way into the 50. Nick Sloviak was the first to die. The point went move, counter-move until Roberts and Montemayor were left against 3 Russians, but they couldn't pull it off 2 points in a row, and the Russians tied it up. X Factor almost stole the match in a car crash point to end regulation. They couldn't pull it off, and the game went to overtime. Ninos was the first to walk off. Bernaccia traded out with Burtnikov, who had made it into the 50 snake, and then Woodley lost a gunfight to Smotrov. For the 3rd point in a row, it came down to Roberts and Montemayor. They couldn't pull off the 4-on-2. The Russian Legion punched their ticket into the semifinals.
So X Factor is getting knocked out of this tournament here in overtime, and the Russians are going to be moving on to play Houston Heat. My God, Chris, it continues to get crazy. We thought that X Factor so hyped up after their victory as they demolished. Not only did they beat Impact, but they beat them as bad as I think Impact has been beat in the past 4 years.
And the cleaners, boys, let's fucking go. Go ahead, Brian. All right, you boys ready? Yep. All right, boys, you grab this. I want them to fucking hear this thunder's coming out. You ready, boys? I fight! 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 We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! That's right, boys. That's fucking right. Let's go. That's one heart right there, boys. Team on. Sorry. Team on. 1, 2, 3. Team!
Brandon Short started off the game by quickly making his way into the snake, just as he had done his whole career. This could be one of his last chances to win a tournament, and he was playing with a renewed fire. Revo lost their first body off the snake side and found themselves stuck in the back positions. So Dynasty took the initiative, getting Brandon Short into the snake. Short got caught by the inside tower, and the first point was close, with Pike making a move to even up the count 3-on-3. Tyler Harmon saved the point for Dynasty by finding Pike and bunkering him out. Dynasty went up by 1. In point 2, Dynasty got off to a bad start, and it cost them, losing Short, Greenspan, and Margot. Revo quickly tied the game. Greenspan walked off early in the next point. Harmon went out wide and pushed forward on the D side. Pike received a major penalty, pulling out Henry Sense and Eddie Painter, which should have ruined Revo's chances to win the point. But Omar ran down Matty Kling, and Marcelo Margot tried to stop the bleeding by trading out with Omara. It came down to a one-on-one with Yosh Rao and Dan Zaleski. Zaleski took it, saved the point, and Revo went up by 1. Then both teams played a tight 5-on-5 for 2 minutes, until Blake Yarber was the first to come off. Bodies then dropped back and forth. Revo was more accurate and took their third unanswered point. With 5:21 left in the lead, Revo went heavy guns up, forcing Short to get creative, pushing into Snake 3. Dynasty lost Harmon, but Rao and Margot zoned up on the Snake lane and took out Omara to even up the body count. Greenspan tried to get up the field to help Short, but was taken out. In the best move of the game, Short, knowing time was running out and his team needed 2 to tie, he ran through, decimating Revo's line. Painter stayed alive, but Rao bunkered him out, and Margot was the lone body left to hit the buzzer and pull within 1 with only 1:23 to go.
20 seconds.
In Dynasty's last chance, Short was shot off the snake side, and Revo held fast. Harmon and the boys from Dynasty couldn't break through, and Revo advanced into the semifinals.
Hey, everybody take a little breather. Fuck that! We stay hot, motherfucker!
Houston Heat matched up with the Russian Legion outside of London 2 months ago at the last NXL Europe event. Their only match together this year, and it did not end well for Heat, as they took a beating 2-7, getting knocked out in the semifinals. The semifinal game in Chicago between these two Titans began as all their games began, with a struggle for dominance on the Snake side. Ryan Moorhead snapped out Leo Smotroff and got another kill to start the match with the 2-pack, after Chad George had walked off early. Burtnikov tried a counterattack but was stuffed, and Fedorov took out Karslev, forcing the Russians to concede the point. Moorhead was then clipped trying to get to the 50, and Fedorov died as well in the next point. Chad George clocked in with an insane 2-pack which almost turned the point. But Kirill Peridny saved it, and the Russians tied the game.
Chad George gets himself a 2-pack. Nobody has shot Chad George yet, and here comes Chad George streaking to the back corner bunker. He stumbles and falls and finally gets picked up, but Chris throws his pen down so highly impressed by Chad George. I'm about to write that highlight down. My God, Chad George is insane. He pulled off a 1-on-4 at this event. He just went through the entire line and pulled it to a 1-on-1. Actually 2-on-1, sorry. He got 3 kills on that move, but unfortunately, though, Chad left it all out there, not able to, Kirill saved that one. Kirill saved that move right there.
After a tight guns-up break for the Russians, they got an easy one when Fedorov died early again, and a minor penalty was assessed on Chad George. Heat got off to a slow start at the next horn, and it cost him Chad George running out wide to the back bunker on the Snake side. Moorhead still found his way to the 51st. Burtnikov tried to throw the pod trick, which had become quite popular at this event, but Moorhead didn't fall for it. Dizon died off the D side. Burtnikov took out Moorhead the old-fashioned way, and the Russians railed off their third unanswered point. It didn't get any better for Heat in the next point. They lost George and Moorhead attacking on the Snake side. Legion ran off the clock as Heat died trying to push. Legion was now up by 3 with 4:28 left. With a game on the line in the next point, Legion spread the field to hold off Heat's attack. Burtnikov traded out with Moorhead in a gunfight from the back line off the break. Chad George tried to create from the 50, but got shot, forcing yet another concession. Heat lost the next 2 points, and they took 2 beatings in a row from Legion, 2 Mercy Rule losses, which though the Russians could have just run off the clock, they made sure to put up the coffin nail point, even though it meant nothing. Heat walked off after getting knocked out, rubbing welts, nursing their pride, and remembering names for potential vengeance later on. The close semi-final fight between Revo and the Ironmen got off to a good start for both squads, though the Ironmen took more ground with Spica and Reeser into the Snake. Revo came out with a more conservative game plan, but it was 5-on-5 until both Pike and O'Mara walked off at the same time. Spica pushed inside past the 50 doing work. Revo tried to win gunfights from the back line, but they were shot out of their spots, and the Ironmen took the first point. In the second point, Greg Sewers came off early, but both teams lost their D-side attackers, as Pike took the walk too. Kyle Spica went to the 50 Snake, and O'Mara came from the inside route to run him down. Zaleski cruised up the Snake side and helped Revo to tie the game. Both teams almost jumped the gun to start point 3. Zaleski and Spica traded in the Snake, but O'Mara came off as well, and there was no one on the Snake side for Revo. The Ironmen had their shots dialed in on the D side too, as they dropped a ball in on Pike off the break. The Ironmen went up by 1. The Ironmen then lost Ryan early as they switched to a more conservative break. O'Mara went untouched into the 50 Snake on a delay as Spica was taken out from the insert bunker, so Avilas filled out wide to try to stop O'Mara. Zaleski filled into the Snake 50 as well. They worked out Greg Sewers, and with only 2 bodies left versus 5, Avilas tried the desperation attack. He traded out with O'Mara, leaving just Reeser. The Ironmen were forced to concede, and the game was tied again. With 5:32 on the clock, Revo now decided to go with a conservative break, and lost O'Mara from the middle. Greg Sewers flew into the 50 on the D side, trapping Revo in the backfield. Reeser and Spica then filtered into the Snake 50, and the full court press was on. Sewers then went past the 50, and after Eddie Painter and Zaleski walked off, the Ironmen took back the lead.
Point approved.
Spica took a ball from cross field, which left Zaleski alone in the Snake, and the Ironmen were down a body. Even though Josh Pike had been on fire in the prelims, he was again shot out early here in the semifinals to even up the count. With a minute to go and Revo's event on the line, Zaleski was able to make it past the 50 and put a shot on Damian Ryan, with O'Mara right behind him. It couldn't be stopped, as Eddie Painter ran through the center to tie up the match and force an overtime.
That buzzer and tied up with just 6 seconds left to go. What an amazing close from Eddie Painter, O'Mara, and Zaleski, and what a heartbreaking point loss for the Los Angeles Ironmen. My God.
In overtime, both teams sent their attackers into Snake 1. The Ironmen killed Zaleski, and they were able to get Spica in clean. Reeser also went to the Snake wedge on a delay. Henry Sense died trying to hold down the D side, and Revo went down 3 bodies on 5. Spica lost a gunfight to give a breath of life back to Revo. O'Mara went hunting for Reeser as Sewers went into the 50, and it looked like for a second that he had been injured, but he shook it off. Reeser then went and had the most important kill of the game as he dipped out to the Snake 50 and got the shot on O'Mara. He then shot Painter, and that was the difference. The Ironmen moved on into the finals to face the Russian Legion.
So congratulations to the Los Angeles Ironmen. They're getting hyped up in their pits, but they better bring their A game because the Russians put the smackdown on Houston Heat. So the stage is set here at the 2018 NXL Chicago Open. In the final match, it's going to be the Los Angeles Ironmen for the first time this year, first time in a long time. And they're going to be taking on the Russians, also their first time here in the finals. They did win Atlantic City last year. These two teams on a rebuild, definitely rebuild.
Thanks, you little shit.
Trevor, way to fucking pull it through, dude.
Just making the finals was a small sliver of fulfillment for the Ironmen after languishing in the middle of the pack for years. But the team had been reconstructed not just to get to the finals, but with the intent of finding the long-lost win. But in order to get that achievement, they would first have to get through the Russian Legion, a team that announced to the world the completion of their own rebuild with a big win last year in Atlantic City. The Russians had now knocked out Heat and AC Dallas on Sunday, 2 of the very best contenders. And it was a harder road than the Ironmen had taken to get to the final match. But everyone watching the Ironmen games knew their snake side had been dominant. The Russians' young phenom, Leo Smotrov, and the legend, Alexander Burtnikov, would have to contend with the Ironmen's dominant snake side, with Kyle Spica, Trevor Reeser, and Bobby Avilas all having career events.
Look around. Everybody here is fought fucking long and hard. Everybody's fucking tired. But you know what? It's all about the fucking fight. It's all about wanting to get up there and fuck somebody up for the fucking guy next to you. Believe in each other. Supreme confidence. do everything that we have fucking done to this point to get here and fucking more. All right? Trust in your teammates. Do it all for each other, man. Let's fucking go. Let's go for the fucking crew, baby. Ready? Knuckles! Ready? Knuckles! Knuckles! 1, 2, 3. Iron! Let's go! Hey, let's fucking go! Go, boys! Let's fucking go! Feel it, baby. Let's do this shit. Hey, here we go, boys!
The game that we have all been waiting for is about to go down here at the 2018 NXL Chicago Open.
The finals began with Kyle Spica winning his first engagement, taking out Alexander Burtnikov, and then getting into the snake. After Karslev died at the D-side 50, Spica made creative moves after losing Reeser behind him to take out Smotrov. The Russians couldn't recover, and the Ironmen took the first point. Smotrov died off the break in the next point, but so did Kyle Spica. Bobby Avilas drew a minor penalty, which pulled out Reeser, and Greg Sewers died as well, and the Russians charged back to tie the game. Knowing they needed to battle for every point, Kyle Spica had some words for his teammates in the pit.
Hey, this shit wouldn't be fun unless it was a fucking fight, man. Let's go. Hey, let's go, Bobby!
I love what Spica just said in the pits. He said if this wasn't a fight, it wouldn't be fun.
Smotrov again walked off early in the third point, and Spica went untouched into the snake, going right into the powerful 50 bunker. Avilas died trying to battle down the sideline, and Ryan lost a gunfight to give the advantage to the Russians, as Karslev made his move down the D side. Burtnikov then traded out with Spica. Karslev was shot off the D side, and it came down to a crucial 2-on-2 to see who would take the momentum. The veteran leader, Kirill Peridny, blasted Sewers and ran to hit the buzzer as Reeser was attacking. The Russians took the lead.
Shoot him in the wild. Trevor launches, doesn't have to worry about it though. Nice job by Kirill. Is that Kirill? It is Kirill Peridny. Man,
That was a shot.
That was huge.
Alan Golding and Damian Ryan died early in the next point, forcing coach Todd Martinez to quickly concede, and the Ironmen were now down by 2 with 4:04 left. The Russians put a shot on Spica off the break, but lost Smotrov yet again. The Ironmen then lost Damian and were again forced to throw in the towel to save time. The Ironmen swarmed back in the next point with Trevor Reeser and Kyle Spica in the snake. Bobby Avilas came through and led the charge, which was finished off by Ryan and Reeser in the middle of the field. The Russians were now up by 2 with under 2 minutes to go, and all they had to do was hold off the rush they knew would come.
The Ironmen
Golov
attack
gets shot, Smotrov gets shot. Just Alexander Burtnikov left alive on at least 3.
Past the 50-yard line, here comes the attack from the Los Angeles Ironmen from that D side, so it looks like they should be able to get this one, and here comes the hammer getting dropped on the last player who was laying down doing the Army man there, and it was Malloy. So here come the Ironmen as they are going to put their second point on the board, now down by 2.
As we're now eclipsing the minute mark, and Malloy knows that kill's there, goes through, takes out Bobby.
They took out Ryan and Sewers and held on to take the victory. With 2 wins in less than 2 years, the Russian Legion was a team to be respected and feared by everyone yet again.
Да надо было, блядь. Сука, блядь. Мужики, сюда, давай. Кирюха! Кирюха! Кирилл! Есть, давай. Давай. It was a beautiful game. Thank you, my team. Thank you, coach. Thank everyone. It is a big present for my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you, everyone.
You're also the MVP.
Yes.
MVP for the overall event. Kirill is the finals MVP for that one play that he pulled off.
Yes.
So Kirill gets finals MVP, you get overall MVP.
Thank you, fans. Thank you, my team.
4 events in and 1 left, the biggest of them all. The 2018 NXL World Cup was shaping up to have the closest race ever for the series title. Impact's loss in the wildcard round and their 9th place finish was the worst that they had done since World Cup 2012, and it opened up the race for the overall title. Houston Heat was disappointed with the loss in the semifinals, but with a win at World Cup, they could have a chance to steal the glory and be the top team in the game again. They had Konstantin Fedorov back, and his record at the World Cup was the best paintball had ever seen. When you make the conscious decision to pick up a paintball gun and head out into the world of tournament paintball in search of adventure, what you're really seeking is a story. The fun and the challenge, the trials and the accolades, those all fade. Even if you're successful, the trophies will sit there and collect dust. The prize money will get spent. But what remains are the moments, the memories, a powerful story. Sunday has a special place in paintball. What happens on Sunday defines our sport. It's where our history gets written and where heroes are made. It's where all the hard work, the welts, and the time spent come together to create victory or defeat. What happens on Sunday is why people will remember your name. That's the story you're about to watch. Not just the story of one team or one player, but the story of a year. 1 year in the Pro Division in the National X-Ball League, the NXL. 5 tournaments, 20 teams fighting over 3 days until one remains, raising a trophy on Sunday. This is the story of 5 Sundays.